What's good, peeps? Thanks as always for passing by the channel. Much appreciated. Hit that subscribe button if it's your first time coming through. All right, let's get into this Q&A part 7. This is probably the most consistent thing in my life. Not even joking. I am a very inconsistent person. So this is it. All right, let's get into it. I've just set the stopwatch for 50 minutes. That's about right, I think. We should be able to get through a few questions in there. All right, let's go to Twitter first. And Ian Hamilton says, what is your favorite ever Undertaker match and feud? Favorite ever Undertaker? Oh, steel cage match with Mankind. I mean, fucking chucked him off the top of the steel cage. And then, obviously everyone should know this. If you're not, you got to YouTube it. Fucking chokeslammed him through the steel cage. Oh, Jesus, I mean, that was that era. That era would never, ever come back again. Next question. You say you're a fan of certain people, but you critique them a lot. I struggle to ever do that with Lewis Hamilton. He's a big Lewis Hamilton fan. I don't think anyone's above criticism. Anyone. And it's weird. I think the more I like someone, especially sports people here we're talking about, I feel like the more I'm open to critiquing them. If I don't really like you, I probably don't give a shit what you do. But if I like you a lot and you fuck up in a certain way, or you don't live up to your lofty expectations, then I think I critique you. But I understand what you're saying. All right, next question. Should KD, Kevin Durant, leave the Warriors and win titles with another team to shut doubters up? Man, I'm mixed with this one. Because to me, there is no certainty that he could go to the Knicks or even the Lakers and team up with LeBron and win rings, right? He's in a position with Golden State where he could win his third ring against Toronto. And I mean, if he wins his third, he could win his fourth, right? Win as many rings as possible. When it's all said and done, when you're retired and you're 60 and 70, looking back, no one gives a shit where you went and how you won it. It's just that you won it. And I think you should stay there and win as many as possible. What are your top 5 movies ever and why? Oh, man, I don't know. There's too many. Godfather 1 and 2 are in it. Terminator 2 is in it. I love Terminator 2. Usual Suspects, just as that twist at the end. That's 4. I can't think of any more at the moment, but there's so many. You can only interview one of your heroes, John Barnes, Nigel Benn, and Michael Johnson. Who would you choose and why? Nigel Benn all fucking day long. I mean, look, MJ, Michael Johnson, love him. John Barnes, love him. But that's more through my dad. But Nigel Benn, you can't be a boxing fan and not like and appreciate Nigel Benn, right? There's no quitting that man. I mean, none. Especially when boxers nowadays fucking talk over Twitter. There's nothing. Oh, I love Nigel Benn. So it'll be Nigel Benn all day. All right, I think I got a couple that came through my email address. Let's have a quick look at email before I jump into YouTube. I'm actually scared to actually look at how many are on YouTube. Normally I have a quick peek. I've not even looked. I don't even know what the questions are. Boy. Stephen Flowers sent me a question. He said, do you think there is any chance of the rematch with AJ and Ruiz not happening and the belts get split up again? Was a bit worried when I heard Ruiz mention Al Heyman's name. Everyone is scared when you hear Al Heyman. There is a chance. I tweeted out the other day that I don't think the rematch is going to happen straight away. But I want it to because I think AJ needs that chance to get revenge, but I'm not sure. All right, let's go on to YouTube. Fucking hell, 152 comments, so that's like 152 questions. All right, let's get straight into it anyway. Luke Furlong says, how do you feel with Liverpool winning the Champions League but AJ losing? Nothing, if I'm honest with you. I mean, Liverpool is like that. AJ's like that. I'm an AJ fan, but Liverpool is like my life. I can't explain. I can't put into words. Liverpool is my fucking life. When Liverpool lose, it physically hurts me. When AJ lost, it just surprised me. There's only, who else of all the sports people playing right now? Roger Federer is probably the only one. When he loses, for some reason, it hurts a bit. AJ, I was like just more surprised than anything. Haida Khan says, having seen the AJ Ruiz fight, have you changed your thoughts on how AJ Usyk goes? What a good question. What a good question. It's weird. I think I've gone back and forth with Usyk and AJ. I think initially I said, oh, AJ's just too big and strong. But now when you see how AJ just got outboxed, and he was outboxed, I mean, Usyk is a great fucking boxer. Let's be honest. Boy, don't know. I don't know now. Draw. Fence sitting right there. Alzaz Raja says, do you think White will get a shot against Ruiz? And should AJ rush straight into a rematch? And by the way, congrats on working with Fox. Love the channel. Thank you very much, brother. Do I think White will get a shot? I don't know. I think he's mandatory for the WBO. So if they start calling them mandatories and he beats Oscar Rivas, then he does get a shot. Should AJ rush straight into the rematch? I would say no. I mean, for example, when you look at like Lennox Lewis, Oliver McCall. Was it Oliver McCall? Yeah, Oliver McCall, when Lennox Lewis got beat. I don't think he had the rematch or took the rematch for like 3 years. I mean, everyone's memories are so short. Everyone thinks it was a straight turnaround. It wasn't. It was like 3 years and I think 4 or 5 fights in between. There was no rush. But for AJ, I think he needs to rush. I think he needs all his belts back. He can't get into a situation where all those belts go everywhere and he fights Ruiz for just one belt, right? He wants to be the undisputed heavyweight champ, so he needs to get in there now and fight for that belt. Muffin says, has the Joshua upset made the division more or less exciting than it was previously? I mean, people are talking about boxing, right? I mean, that's always a good thing. Boxing always struggles to compete with, in America, NFL and NBA, and maybe baseball, and over here with football. So people are talking about it. As for it being exciting, I don't know. It's just spoiled the idea of Joshua versus Wilder. I mean, that's what we were building up for, right? That's kind of what it was. And it's kind of just, the interest is gone on that. So I think it's exciting to see what Ruiz could do against other heavyweights. I might need to do a video on that. But as for i.e. the unified heavyweight champion of the world, it spoiled it a bit for me. XA Gregory says, what would AJ have to do in the rematch, Ruiz, to give you confidence that he can beat Wilder and Fury? Is there anything he could do? No, there isn't, if I'm honest with you. The frailties are all there now. We've seen it, right? I mean, Ruiz outboxed him, Fury would outbox him. Ruiz hit him clean and put him down. Wilder would put him to sleep. But let's be honest, that's what would happen. So yeah, unfortunately. No. Fruit Boy says, thoughts on the prospect Vidal Riley? Is he a height job or does he have potential? That's the kid that trains KSI, right? It's too early. What is he, 3 fights in? He's a cruiserweight. Isn't he trained by Roger Mayweather? No, not Roger. What's the other one's name? I can't remember. Jeff. I think he's trained by Jeff Mayweather, about 3 fights in. I mean, anyone can look good. I'm not joking. When I say anyone half decent can look good against nobody's 3 fights in. I think he was fighting guys on their debut, and a guy that had lost once. Come on, I should lace him up. Another question by Fruit Boy says, thoughts on the potential Billy Joe Saunders versus Smith fight? Who wins? Smith's just too big. As good as Billy Joe Saunders is, Smith is just too big, too fresh at the moment, and just looks too good. I have to be honest with you. He shocked me against Ndam. Again, I get that Ndam was a middleweight coming up, but that's what Billy Joe Saunders is. And obviously, Billy Joe Saunders is a better boxer than Ndam, but the way he put Ndam away, I mean, he made Ndam kind of fall and then jump backwards. Quite scary. Rukini says, is Tony Sims a better trainer for Joshua than McCracken? Absolutely not. Matthew Clark says, who are your current top 10 heavyweights? Interested to see where you rank Andy Ruiz now. Dude, I might have to do a video on that. I can't think off the top of my head, but Andy Ruiz, does he make the top 5 now? I mean, he has to, doesn't he? But, I mean, is he now ranked above Joshua? I mean, how does it work? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's a good question. I have to figure that one out. I mean, because you've got Usyk's not even had a fight at heavyweight, and you feel like you have to put him in there, but I don't know. Let's have a look at the next question. Uma Naveed says, following my Calzaghe versus Ward question. Oh, you're the guy. Here's another 3 what-if matchups. In their prime, mind you. All right, let's start at the bottom. Gennady Golovkin versus Hearns. At middleweight, I'd have to favour... Oh, that's a good one. But I think I'd favour Golovkin. Oh, that's a tough one. Over Tommy Hearns. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'd favour Golovkin. I think Hearns is strong, but he's got very wide punches, and I think Golovkin can get inside and do some damage. Cotto versus Duran all day. I'm a massive Cotto fan, but Cotto will be in trouble in that fight. Sonny Liston versus Holmes. I'll go for Larry Holmes. I think Larry Holmes is one of the best heavyweights of all time. Larry Holmes could probably be a top 5 heavyweight of all time. I mean, the best jab in the history of the heavyweight division. Larry Holmes was super. He just came at a weird time after Muhammad Ali, before Mike Tyson. So everyone was kind of like looking for the next guy, and he wasn't that guy. But Larry Holmes ain't no joke, people. Chunga Bam Bam says, Ali, what's your heavyweight top five right now? I've got Wilder, Ruiz. Wow, Ruiz at second place. Fury, Joshua, White. I know Ruiz beat Joshua, but I'm not having Ruiz beating Ortiz. I'm sorry. I know people go, what? Ruiz ain't beating Luis Ortiz. I'm sorry, he isn't. So I would have Ortiz in there. So I'd have Wilder, definitely. Fury, definitely. Gotta still have Joshua in there. It's so tough. Ruiz, Ortiz, Usyk. I don't know. I'm gonna have to do a video on this one, guys, because I'm not sure. I have to think about it. Darren Johnson says, "How do you think AJ will come back from this? Will he get his belts back?" I don't know, man. So much has to be changed. I mean, when someone beats you like that, it's difficult. If it was just a one punch lucky KO, then yeah, you think he's got a chance. He just got outboxed, didn't he? He got outboxed convincingly. I mean, what are they talking about the rematch being? November? Can Anthony Joshua learn how to be a better boxer than Ruiz by November? I mean, is that possible? So I don't know, man. Mentally, he seems tuned in and strong. He didn't hide away. He didn't shy away from questions. But, I mean, he's media trained, isn't he? So he can do all that. I don't know. Fingers crossed he does. I like the guy. I think he's done so much for British boxing, world boxing. But I don't know, man. I really don't. Luke Furlong says, how do you rank the heavyweight division now? We've already spoke about that one. Football King says, is Dillian White a draw in the UK because his pay-per-view numbers are really good, but those were stacked cards with great opponents. Do you think he can draw the same with a bum opponent because of the exciting style of boxing? I don't know, if I'm honest with you. What his last couple of pay-per-views, I think, 300 to 400,000? But it was against Chisora. That would always sell that fight with Chisora. And I think the second one had Chisora on the first one had Chisora on the undercard against Takam and him versus Parker. They're desperate. I know this now. They're desperate to get Chisora on that pay-per-view card against someone. The someone they're hoping is Joseph Parker. I don't think it's going to be. But Chisora will sell the card itself. Can he just do it himself with no Chisora against Oscar Rivas? Don't think so. I don't think so. But they're going to give him a good undercard. Obviously, we got Dave Allen versus David Price. They'll probably sell a few. By himself, not convinced. With a good card, yeah. Wayno PT says, what would be your ultimate fight card of all time? One from each of the top 6 weight classes. Top 6 is in top high weights, do you mean? Okay. So heavyweight would obviously be Joshua versus Wilder. Cruiserweight. Not many. The cruiserweight division is not great right now. I mean, it's great, but it's not great in terms of names. I'd actually leave the cruiserweight out there, if I'm honest with you. So let's park the cruiserweight for a second. Light heavyweight. Oh, that's a good one. Light heavyweight. I'd completely off the radar, but I would go Yard Buatsi. I know people might say Bivol, but Yard Buatsi. Super middle crap right now for me, but I would go Callum Smith, Billy Joe Saunders, even though there are betters in terms of just a card that I would like to see. Obviously, there are Plant, there's Benavidez, but I'd like to see Billy Joe Saunders, Callum Smith, just for the excitement of it. Middleweight, I would like to see Charlo versus Danny Jacobs. 154 pounds. I would like to see. I'd actually still would like to see Charlo versus Jarrett Hurd. Even though Jarrett Hurd lost, I think those two had a bit of heat. 147. I mean, come on, Spence versus Crawford. 140. We've got Progress versus Josh Taylor coming up, so that's going to be a good fight. 135 pounds would be nice. Have I gone past 6? I don't even know. But Javonte Davis, Loma, if Javonte comes up. Kiko Vasilevsky says Prime Foreman versus Prime Mike Tyson. Who wins? Man, I think Foreman hits like a fucking truck, man. I know Tyson hits hard as well, but I mean, Foreman hit Fraser and Fraser lifted up in the air. He lifted up in the air like a Rocky movie. Tyson ain't that big as well. What is Tyson, 5'11"? Foreman's what, 6'4", 6'5", I think? Maybe 6'3". It's a tough fight. That's a good question. Prime versus Prime. I think I'll go for Foreman, you know. I think I'll go for Foreman. Don't give me stick, people. Brenton Ipapo says, I got another question, but it's not related to boxing. You got a 1 hour conversation with anyone dead or alive. Who you got and what would you ask that person? What a fucking question. What a question. What a question. Man. Oh, it's too many. There's too many, dude. Can I mention 5? Do you mind if I mention 5? My 5, if I had like time to get these guys around the table and just pick their brains about anything, it would be Muhammad Ali, Malcolm X, Tupac, Che Guevara, and who else? Who else? Who else? Don't know, but those would definitely be my 4. And I actually don't even know what question I'd ask them. I just like to speak to them. I mean, especially Tupac. This is obviously a bit random, but I mean, I've been a massive fuck me. I mean, I had Tupac posters all over my house when I was a kid. My mum used to think, what the fuck was going on? Hence why I got so many tattoos. He kind of influenced me. I even cut my fucking hair bald and now it won't grow back. But listening to his lyrics, how deep they were at like 21, 22. I mean, it's easy to forget that Tupac was fucking 25 when he died. When you listen to his lyrics, you think these are lyrics of a man that has lived fucking 30, 40 years easy. So yeah, that would be it. Sorry, I went off a bit here. Hanan Malik says, how does Callum Smith versus Canelo or GGG play out? Don't know, it's good fights, right? Very, very, very good fights. I mean, Canelo just doesn't look like anyone can put a fucking dent in that man right now. I have to be honest with you. I mean, GGG hit him with everything. And that guy didn't budge. Didn't budge. His leg didn't buckle. Nothing. So I don't know. I'd prefer, though, to see GGG versus Callum Smith. A lot of people think GGG is done. He ain't done. No way is he done. I mean, again, I thought he beat Canelo, right? And with people saying he's done after he's coming off a win, in my eyes. So I don't know, but great fights. Fingers crossed they happen because this Callum Smith versus GGG talk starting to gather some heat a bit. And it's all about money. He's talking about what fighting at Anfield. You never know, right? You never know. Ian Davis says, how do you see the White versus Wilder fight playing out and who wins? I think Wilder would knock him out early, if I'm honest with you. I like White. I think White's a good fighter. He comes to fight, but that's the problem. You're coming to fight against Wilder. I mean, this power's no fucking joke, man. I think it's real now. I'm actually starting to believe this power's like fucking real. It's no joke. And if he lands clean, I'm sorry, anyone is out. I mean, again, how did Tyson Fury get up? I do not know. Top 5 potential matchups. Usyk versus Wilder. It's a good fight, that is. Good fight. Can Usyk avoid Wilder? Can Usyk take a punch? I don't know. Usyk upset, maybe? Callum Smith versus Joshua Buatsi at light heavy. It's strange because Callum Smith looks bigger of the two. Now, if the fight was to happen today, I'd actually favour Callum Smith, but I think Buatsi is just going to get really good. That fight happens in 5 fights' time. I'll favour Buatsi, but right now, Callum Smith. Lomachenko versus Josh Taylor at lightweight. Josh Taylor hasn't got a chance in hell. I don't give a fuck how big he is. He hasn't got a chance in hell. I'm sorry. Inoue versus Rungvisai. Have I said his name correctly? Probably not. Inoue. Warrington versus Gary Russell Jr. Interesting one. Look, I'm not going to get overly excited about Gary Russell Jr. knocking out a 5-year past at Kiko Martinez. Warrington's work rate is through the roof. Yes, Gary Russell Jr. has fast hands. I get that, but I mean, Warrington's engine is frightening, and he can take a punch. I'm going to go for Warrington. I think I've written him off too many times. I'm going for Warrington. Mayowa Ogunlade, Najab Boy, says Al Heyman promotes Ruiz and Wilder. So are they going to fight each other or a rematch with Joshua? I don't think he'll put them together just because he would rather they fight other people and fight for world titles and make that money separately. I think they'll go for the rematch. I mean, Andy Ruiz actually spoke today about the rematch and said he would like to have it in Mexico. Joshua ain't going to no fucking Mexico. He's still very much the B-side in this. I know it's stupid, he's the world champion, but I mean, if the fight happens in the UK, he's the B-side. And he will just take whatever lottery ticket he gets, right? Fighting AJ at Wembley. I don't know how much he got paid for this fight. I'm going to guess he got paid about 3 million, maybe 2.5. I mean, you can quadruple that. He'll get paid at least $10 million or pounds, whatever, if he comes to the UK. So I think the rematch will happen just because of finances. Shevin says, if AJ loses the rematch, where does he go from there? Nowhere. I don't know. Nigeria? Also, if AJ gets the belts back and Wilder wins against Fury and Ortiz, what's the highest percentage AJ gets in a Wilder fight? 35%? No way rematch happened in the UK with Al Heyman, won't allow it. Percentage? I don't know. It's a good question. Because they're kind of saying 50-50 now. If AJ gets his belts back and Wilder wins, I think it will still be 50-50, but I just think the purse will probably be a bit bigger. So what did they offer him before? $50 million? It'd probably be 60, but 50, but still 50-50, I think. Still a big fight. It still is. If he gets his belts back, it still is a big fight. Brian Piss. Sorry, if that's your real name and I'm laughing. Big respect, Ade. When does Kell Brook become a former boxer? Absolutely no reason for him to be out 6 months after Zarafa with no fight announced. True? I don't know what's going on. I've done the Kell Brook videos already, like dissing him. But he did tweet something about some managerial issues or something, didn't he, recently? He's just waiting for that last big paycheck, isn't it? I mean, he's begging for fucking Amir Khan, begging, because he knows it's the biggest money he can get, and it is. It'll probably be £5 or £6 million. I think it could still be that big in the UK. And with all the other options out there, 154 and 147 is probably the easiest as well. So he's just waiting for that last big payday. D Pog says, Ade, should Rob McCracken be fired? He doesn't seem to be teaching AJ much at this point. And do you think AJ will fight in the States again? Fucking hell, what a nightmare. What a nightmare. That was supposed to be a dream debut, just turned into an absolute nightmare. Should Rob McCracken be fired? For me, yes. I don't see what he's done, if I'm honest with you. And that's no disrespect. It's easy to kind of criticize or kick people when they're down, but you've got to start looking deep into what he's done. I mean, AJ's not looked good for a long time. Didn't look good against Carlos Takam. Didn't look good against Joseph Parker. Didn't look good for the first few rounds against Povetkin. Then landed that big right hand. And obviously looked awful against Ruiz. I mean, what more do we want, right? Does he fight in the States again? No, he doesn't. He doesn't. There's a reason why a lot of top fighters refuse to travel. It's not just judges. They just don't want to get away from home comforts. It's that simple. So I'd be shocked if AJ travels again. I'd be shocked. Malnourished Matty, great name. What would your reaction have been if 2 years ago someone told you Tyson Fury versus Andy Ruiz Jr. would be the undisputed fight, providing Fury beats Wilder, of course? Bloody hell. Dude, I would have said you're mad. I would have said you put this guy in a straitjacket. He's crazy. Farm him off to some sort of mental health institute because he is fucking crazy. Tyson Fury at the time was nearly 30 stone, and Andy Ruiz had lost his opportunity against Joseph Parker. I would have said you're crazy. And now you're right. We are honestly a couple of fights away from that possibly happening. Madness. Next question, with no name. Does Usyk go straight for the title shot against Ruiz? He should, but they're not going to be able to do that fight. No chance. Do you think Usyk stands a better chance against Ruiz than AJ would in an immediate rematch? Yeah. No scars, right? There's no scars. There's no fear. Usyk would think that he could just outbox Ruiz. Ruiz outbox AJ. Usyk would definitely outbox Ruiz. There's no doubt about it. I get the size and all that kind of stuff, but Usyk would outbox him all day long. Angus Young says, who do you think is Lomachenko's biggest competition? Himself, his age. I honestly do think that's the only competition for him, just his age. People talk about the young kids coming up. Nah, not for me. I don't think any of them can beat him, like Teofimo Lopez and Gervonta Davis coming up in weight. Nah, not for me. I mean, for me, it's just his age. I don't even know how old Loma is, but that's the only thing. Remember, I had so many amateur fights that must take a wear and tear on you. He's had shoulder surgery. So just that alone, in terms of someone beating him, nah. Hanan Malik says, big respect, Ade, most realest guy on YouTube. Thank you, bro. Do you think GGG can ever KO Canelo if he goes to the body? Banks said he wants GGG to KO him if they fight again. That's the only way. To the body is the only way, because what the fuck they've got in Canelo's head, I do not know. He's like a cyborg. He's got to go to the body. And GGG has hurt so many boxers to the body, and it's almost like he abandoned it a bit. Banks said they're working on going to the body again. So that is the only way. If he's trying to knock him out with a headshot, Unless he hits him like equilibrium, like fucking Ruiz done to Joshua. He ain't moving. Tyron Atkins says, hi, Ade, loving the new opening graphics. Thank you, bro. Again, that was Ian Clark that done it for me. Thank you, Ian. If you suddenly got into the promotion game, which 5 current boxers from different weights would you choose for your stable and why? Keep up the good work. Heavyweight would be Joshua Still. Bit biased, I guess. But you know, any of those 3, actually. All of them can sell fights, I think. But I think Joshua Still is the biggest out of all of them in terms of selling a fight. Cruiserweight, I would skip completely. Light heavyweight, I would actually take Anthony Yard. People might laugh at me, but him and Tunde would sell a fight for me. Well, can they? We'll see. Super middle, no one. I'd skip that weight class completely. Middle, Canelo, obviously. 154 pounds, Charlo. 147, even though you haven't asked. Terence Crawford, if he comes out of his shell. H. Wickenden says, in an ideal heavyweight super series, who would make the cut and how would the matchups play out? Super series is how many? 8, right? Let's just go 8. So 8 would be, obviously, Joshua Wilder, Fury, Usyk, Ruiz now, Dillian White, Ortiz. And I'll chuck in a wild card. Who would the wild card be? I don't want to say Povetkin or Pulev. A bit bored of them. Who's the fucking wild card? I'm not sure about that Hagovic. So I'll say Joe Joyce, just because he's Joe Joyce, innit? Let's see what he can do. The last man standing in that, I think, would be Fury. Oh, yeah, I think Fury. I was going to say Usyk, but I think Fury would be the last man standing. I would always pick a boxer over a puncher. And I think Fury... Yeah, I'll say Fury still. Dominic Cesari says, who's your least favourite boxer at the moment? Least favourite boxer. Andrew, no, I'm joking. Good question. Probably someone like an Adrian Broner. Just annoys the fuck out of me. When I think of all that talent years ago, it just annoys me. Agus Hamarwin says, what are your favourite brands when it comes to boxing gear? I've got to say Under Armour. I went to an Under Armour store. Where was I? Was it Dubai or Qatar? I can't remember where it was. And anyway, it was just ridiculous. Some of the stuff they had in there, fucking hell. I mean, back in the day, boxing gear just used to look like fucking Lonsdale, wasn't it? Under Armour have just taken it to another level, so I've got to say Under Armour. But obviously gloves and stuff is completely different. But if you're talking about just gear, then yeah. Christian Barnes says, what are your thoughts on the June 21st Next Gen show? Personally, I think it's a good step up for Ben, and Richards versus Sterling is a barnstorm. I've actually not even looked at the card. I mean, I don't even know who Ben's fighting, but you're right about Richards versus Sterling. But I don't know who's Conor Ben fighting again. Don't know. But I do like these next gen shows. I just want it to be next gen shows. I don't need to be the regular Sky Sports shows, but next gen shows not a problem with him. Steve Hardy says, hi, Ade, non-related boxing question. I know you've been in Senegal recently. Just wanted your thoughts on the best places to visit in Africa from your personal experience. I think the 3 best places I've seen in Africa, Cape Town would probably be number 1. Fucking ridiculous people. Ridiculous. I mean, ridiculous. Dakar in Senegal, I thought was beautiful. And I would say Gambia. So those would be my 3. Those are my 3. All right, next question. Henry Pam Fom says, hey, Ade, love and peace from a fellow Niger Londoner. What's happening with your new show idea? I was hoping to possibly be involved. Yeah, it's I mentioned this on a video a couple of days ago. It's basically me. So when I thought of the show, I wasn't getting much work in South Africa. So there wasn't much Fox stuff going on because they cancelled their boxing. And I didn't expect them to call me for football. So I was in London at the time a lot when I was thinking about the show. I was only going to South Africa at the end of each month. Now I'm in South Africa, I'll say about 90% of the time. You guys know this by watching the channel. I'm just not here. So I don't know what to do with it, actually. It's a pain because it was such a good idea. But we'll see if I can somehow arrange to do it when I get here. But I don't know. For example, I'm only here now until June the 9th. I'm gone again. Gone. So yeah, it's a bit of a pain. Adebayo Adelaide says, do you know what the attendance and viewing figures were for the AJ fight? It looked a bit dead to me. I thought that as well. It didn't look packed. I'll say it looked about 90% full, maybe even about 85%. Didn't look like when Miguel Cotto used to fight there, for example. As for the viewing figures, if they're crap, they're not going to release them. It's that simple, right? If a certain amount of people didn't sign up, they weren't released. I think they did it for Jacobs and Canelo because they thought those were good numbers. If it ain't above, I don't know, 400,000 sign-ups based on that fight, they're not releasing it. Body says, after the Ruiz fight, what do you make of Joshua's chin? I don't know. I mean, it's not Amir Khan chin. It's not that level, is it? But I don't know, man. I'm not sure. I mean, again, we always say this, but this is the heavyweight division. If a big heavyweight hits you, what is he, 260 pounds, 270? It's going to hurt. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Chris Berry says, what do you think about Hearn and AJ's relationship? I thought it was a bit rocky, excuse the pun, recently with things I've seen. You think it'll be more tension now after the loss and AJ's dad confrontation? Yeah, that dad confrontation is confusing the hell out of me. A lot of people are making their own assumptions as to what that was. I'd love to know what it was. If anyone really knows what it was, by all means, please leave your comments below. Let us know exactly what the fuck happened. I'm not sure. I mean, they make a lot of money together, don't they? They make a lot of money. I just feel like they're both hurting. I mean, it looks like Eddie Hearn genuinely likes AJ, not just because he makes him money, just genuinely likes him as a person. And I think AJ the same. And I think, just like friends, we argue and fight all the time, but I think they're okay. I can't see anything crazy about it. I just think he lost and both of them are disappointing. But again, I'd love to know what that dad stuff's about. Ace Golden Glove says, if AJ loses the rematch to Andy Ruiz, is he officially done in the sport of boxing? Especially if he gets beat up like the first fight. I struggle to see how he mentally comes back from consecutive defeats. Agreed. I mean, I mentioned David Price, Tony Thompson as an example. Obviously, look, David Price isn't on the same level as AJ. And Tony Thompson, at that stage of his career, wasn't on the same level as Andy Ruiz. But again, that's what it's like. You lose to someone back-to-back mentally, it can fuck you, especially someone that everyone thought you was going to run through. If this was a Wilder Joshua fight, then all right, cool. Everyone expected you to run through Andy Ruiz, and you didn't. So it'll be a tough thing to come back from. Pretty Boy Fizzy says, Addy, can you talk about your experience of living and doing work in South Africa? The living part is quite difficult. At the moment, I don't have my own place, so I'm renting a lot. I rent Airbnbs quite a bit when I'm out there. It does get a bit lonely as well, I have to be honest with you. Obviously, I know everyone in London. I don't really know much people in South Africa yet. I've started to make a few friends, but you know it's like making new friends. You're just not sure, are you? Work-wise is fantastic. I can't lie. I've got these opportunities that I would never have got. I say never, but I don't think I would have got in London. So I like it. It's safe. A lot of people talk about the dangers of South Africa. There are dangers, but there are dangers everywhere. I have not experienced anything bad my side, and I've been going there 2.5, 3 years. Not experienced nothing. Next question is, Matchroom Boxing's probably on life support right now. How are they going to recover from this? Most of their fighters lost this year. He has to build new stars, right? A lot has been said about AJ. He has to find new stars right now. Callum Smith looked good, right? Callum Smith could be that guy if he gives him some airtime. I mean, there are other guys coming up, but you're right. It's not looking good. But this is Matchroom, one of the biggest promoters in the world. They'll be fine. Bascom says, what does it say about British boxing talent when recently they're all going to the US and losing? AJ, Khan, Fielding, Crawler. Why is this happening and what can be done to change it from happening? Thanks in advance. It's not a bad thing. I mean, look, apart from AJ, all the other guys were like big underdogs. Crawler, Loma, Fielding, Canelo, Khan, Crawford. So it's not a bad thing. I think the matchups aren't great, especially when you think of those three. So let's get some good matchups and let some of the Americans come over to the UK, and then we'll see, I guess. James Goldsmith says, from what you saw, does Usyk beat AJ relatively comfortably? Don't know. I mean, we're kicking AJ when he's down, aren't we? I'm not sure. I mean, we've not even seen Usyk at heavyweight yet. Could he outbox AJ? Yeah. Does he have enough power like Ruiz did to actually hurt him? It's another question. We'll see. Brenton Ipapo says, do you think Maidana will make a comeback? Nope, he tried, didn't he? He tried, struggled with the weight, and decided to fuck that, go back to smoking cigars and drinking whiskey. James Chalona says, thoughts on Tyson Fury rising to number 1, defeating Wilder again, And after AJ rebuilds, beating him to cement his legacy, do you see this happening like me? I can't ever see Fury versus AJ for some reason. It's one of those fights. It's like who is it? It almost reminds me a bit of Witter Hatton. I just don't see it happening. I don't know why. Tyson Fury could be number one, and fucking what a story that would be. What a story that would be. I think he'll beat Wilder if they fight again. It'd be a good fight, but I think he'll beat Wilder. Boy, shocking. Unbelievable story that would be. David DFL says, after watching AJ's loss, I think he needs to learn a bit from Vlad, who also had a suspect chin but protected it behind a tremendous jab, which AJ couldn't seem to do last night. What do you think of AJ consulting Vlad or changing trainers as he goes forward, or simply adopting Klit's style in some way? Dude, I kid you not, I did a video today saying exactly this. Exactly this. Great minds. I would happily be happy. Happily be happy? It would be good for AJ to consult Vlad. Vlad had exactly the same issues and then adopted a fucking ramrod jab, and that got him out of trouble. And then when he was 100% certain, put his chin out to throw his right. 100% certain. AJ needs to copy exactly that. Boy, exactly that. I mean, I would even bring him into the camp. If he's not going to sack Rob McCracken, bring him into the camp. They seem to get on well, and Vlad will teach him a lot of shit. Mojo says, hey Eddie, hope you're well. Just wanted to ask who you think Billy Joe could beat at super middle, and do you have Canelo ranked higher than Loma and Crawford on the pound for pound list? If you're talking about the champions, obviously Billy Joe being a champion himself, who are the champions? Anthony Durrell, I think he could beat him. Callum Smith, no. Caleb Plant, good fight. Benavidez, massive, no. So I think you'd beat two of them. Well, one, and the rest I'm not sure. As for Canelo, ranked higher than Loma and Crawford. Yeah, you see these, but I don't. You know, I have no idea what pound for pound means anymore. If I'm honest with you, before I thought it meant is everyone's at the same weight class, whatever. But now it just seems to mean your resume. And if we're going by resumes, then Canelo all day. Maycat Hill says, does Ruiz Jr. beat any other top heavyweights? I'm actually going to do a video on that tomorrow, so I don't want to answer that question. Sorry. G-Man Boxing, whose channel is growing fucking rapidly, by the way. Well done, G-Man. Ade, have you ever considered doing a podcast like Hatman on Patreon? I wouldn't do it on Patreon, but I definitely would do a podcast, but I wouldn't do it about boxing. So I'd like to kind of do what Joe Rogan does, where he has his podcast, but he splits it into like MMA talk and sometimes boxing talk and fighting talk, and then it's just anything, right? That's kind of how I'd want to do it. I think a boxing podcast would be good, but a bit boring, I think. Badgasaurus says, who do you think are the most promising up-and-coming heavyweights, which you think people should look out for? I just think it's the usual suspects that a lot of people are talking about. Tony Yoka from France, Ajagba, Nigerian, Hagovic, Croatia. Why am I saying the countries? I don't know. Gorman Dubois. I think those five are probably leading, and then there's others just below them from America that are doing good things. America have a few heavyweights that no one knows that are quite dangerous. I think they even had a prospect that got beat a couple of days ago, so you just don't know, right? What do you think of Jarrell Miller's boxing ability? Not great. Obviously, he's from a kickboxing background per se, and I'd like to see what he can do now off all the funny stuff. What he did do was throw a ton of punches per round. I think more than any other heavyweight, I think in the history of boxing, by the way. That ain't going to do anymore, is he? So we'll see. Mark H said, so glad to see another Q&A. I want to know your thoughts on a what if. What if Groves beat Froch in the first fight? How would his career have went from there? Would he have beaten Jack? Would he have unified? What do you think, boss man? Good question. Good question. I mean, George Groves, for the first 5 rounds in that first Froch fight, looked untouchable. Speed, jab, power, movement. It was almost perfect. That George Groves, that first 5-round George Groves, trouble for anyone. Anyone at super middleweight. Anyone. Jack, anyone. Apart from Andre Ward. That one. But obviously, it's a good what if, but that didn't happen. But I honestly feel like the George Groves for the first 5 rounds, I mean, how Froch survived that? He's got to get some credit just for surviving that beating, because he got fucking iced. Jeez. Peacekeeper says, hey, Ade, we share the same name, by the way. Great channel. Thank you, bro. Do you think the left hook that wobbled and eventually dropped Joshua on the third round reflects more on the power of Ruiz or the chin of Joshua? Good question. To be honest, I never thought he would ever be able to stop him, nor did I. If I'm honest with you, I'm still in shock. I mean, I've sparred and someone's hit me in the top of the head, and you do feel like, whoa, what's going on? So I think it's a bit of both. I think we did underestimate Ruiz's power and almost forgot that this guy is 270 pounds. So he's a big guy. So I think it's a both. I think Joshua definitely has, I don't want to say a suspect chin, but I think his powers of recovery aren't great. And I think Ruiz has a bit more power than expected. So I think it's a bit of both. J Julie 999 says, love how authentic your content is, Ade. Thank you, bro. I hate to wear my hipster hat, but I've been a fan since the Box Talk days. You know what? Wear it, because that's a big thing. Thank you so much. So happy to see your continued success. What is the most entertaining fight that you have seen live in person at an arena stadium? You know what was entertaining? The fight wasn't, but the atmosphere was madness. Billy Joe Saunders, Chris Eubank. Fucking mental atmosphere. The fight weren't great, but just on atmosphere alone, that one was crazy. It was almost scary as well. I have to be honest, it was almost a bit scary. I was actually ringside with, who was I ringside with? Michelle Joy Phelps. Not bad, eh? Not bad. Finbar White says, would you like to see a super series in the heavyweight division for all the belts? Also, should Liverpool re-sign Suarez and Coutinho? Would Gareth Bale be a good signing? Of all those three names, I'd probably take Coutinho. Bell would be coming from the left, so he'll take Mane's place, and I like Mane too much. Would I like to see a super series in the heavyweight division? Absolutely, but I mean, dreams can come true. Ain't gonna come true. Callum Gallagher says, who do you have winning between Progress and Taylor? Biased out the window. I want to say Progress. Progress. Kane Cottrell says, do you agree that the top 5 heavies have got away with murder for too long and they are all vulnerable to the tier below? Who, in your opinion, are the top 5 in order, including Usyk, because he beats Ruiz 8 days a week? Massive respect to Ruiz too. Patient and thoughtful boxing skills and seems like a real gent. That's one thing I think a lot of people have said in the last couple of days is just how nice Andy Ruiz is, right? How nice a person he is. What he said after, I think, in the press conference about mum, we'll be okay now type thing, it just touched me. I can't lie to you. He's such a nice guy. So humble. Just everything about him, I like. I have to be honest with you. Everything about him I like. Not just because of the underdog story, but just how he's conducted himself as well. And I agree with you as well. I do think that the 5 underneath the top 5 could cause problems. Could cause problems all day long. For example, a lot of people have Dillian White a top 5 and Povetkin not a top 5. Sorry, I think Povetkin would beat Dillian White. Just my opinion. I think we saw Ruiz now. So I think there's a good mix of guys that will all beat each other, which is interesting. And fingers crossed we get them fighting each other, but probably not. All right, last question. Kiko Vasilevsky says, do you see Fury schooling AJ if they fight? Schooling, but I mean, Fury can go down as well. I think everyone seems to forget that Fury does go down. It isn't just the Wilder fights. I mean, go and check the history. I think he's been down in 3 other fights as well. So if AJ catches Fury on the chin, he will go down. But can AJ catch him? I say yes. I mean, we all forget he did put Ruiz Jr. down. I think it's almost like that's forgotten. And everyone expected that to be that. And it wasn't. Shame. But yeah, shit happens. I can see... I can't see Fury schooling him. I can see it being a good competitive fight, but Fury winning. But schooling, not sure. All right, guys, that's it. I'm done. I'm tired. If you have watched all of that, then fucking God bless you. If you haven't, then God bless you anyway. Peace.